Hello, and welcome to Out of Our Shell, the podcast with your two hosts, Liv and Amber. We're the podcast that's going to be bringing you some amazing guests, some great topics that matter to our community, and we'll try and have a little bit of fun along the way. And speaking of amazing guests, today we have Mx.Gay with us. And Liv, this was actually one of your guests that you wanted to invite on the pod, so I'm going to let you tell us a little bit more about why you invited them here.
Yeah, thanks, Amber.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think when I think of transgender people and those that have impacted our community for the better, I immediately go to envy.
Mm.
Um, they have just donated mass amounts of their time to a cause that I'll let them go more into.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it is time, and it's a service that's provided at essentially no cost, and it really truly empowers transgender individuals. And so when you asked me who would be perfect for our first guest,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think envy was a no-brainer, and
That's
so
awesome.
I'm extremely excited to see what they say.
Oh, that's so great. That's so great. You know what? I also want to make sure that our guest has enough time to really kind of go into everything that they want to go into today. So I
Oh
think we'll just take a,
yes,
I think we'll just take probably a quick little break, and then as soon as we come back, we'll be here with NB Gay. Sound great?
let's let's do it.
Perfect. Awesome.
Hey, Amber.
Oh, hey Liv, I didn't see you there.
We are on camera together.
That is
what
true.
what you got there?
Oh, this is just my perlice. Yeah, my perlice.
For what? For what?
Pure Lease. This is what me and Sabrina swear by. I was telling you about this, and if you recognize the logo here and everything, this is actually
Hmm.
one of our sponsors from the Trans Day Visibility event. They put together that big, huge basket that we were able to auction off and everything.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it?
So it's really, really clean, really authentic, really natural skincare. We
Mm.
absolutely love it. It really just, I mean, like just a beautiful kind of radiant shine, no outbreaks whatsoever. I mean, I really, really swear by it. That's for sure. I highly recommend that. In fact, I'm gonna bring
All
you
right.
some the next time I come down and see you. I'm gonna just bring you like a few of these like bottles that we have here because I always buy a little bit extra.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. What if I
absolutely.
want some today?
Well, if you wanted some today, you could really honestly get it anywhere that like they sell fine cosmetics. I mean, you could grab it at
Hmm.
Sephora, you grab it at Ulta. You can even go straight out to their website because they now even offer direct shipping through a Shopify account and everything. But if you are going to buy some for yourself, make sure that you get this
Okay.
matcha green tea and lemon detoxifying charcoal mask. Okay.
Okay. Why that one?
Because I love this so much that I'm keeping this one for myself, actually.
Oh, I see. All righty. Well, with that then, why don't we go ahead and get back to the pod?
Sounds perfect. Let's do it.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We just wanted to introduce our guest, Envy. Envy, to me, has a special place in my heart because the very first day that I met Envy, they were down in Long Beach, California, and I reached out to them and asked, "Hey, can I join your exhibit?" And they said, "Yes, sure." And I wound up driving Envy around, and we had a great time. And it was we did a photo shoot. We'll go into that a little bit later. Um, but it was a really good time, and it was important to me on my first day of HRT, and I love to tell that story because I have a permanent memory of it. Um, so that's my experience with Envy.
Yes, no, that our first your first day with HRT and our time together was amazing. That was when I was in Long Beach, California, doing my This Is Trans project, which is still ongoing. But yeah, I was there promoting it and showcasing it there in the city, and yeah. I was just so happy that you reached out to me and wanted to, not just be part of the exhibition, but also to meet up and hang out. I think a lot of people don't realize that I'm just a quick message away, and like I'm like, yeah, if I'm in your town, definitely, I want to hang out. I want to get to know you. Like that sounds like so much fun. And what we ended up going to a couple different places, didn't we? Like
Yeah.
we went around for a while that day.
Yeah, we
So
went around, had
yeah.
a little bit of food and a little bit of drinks, and it was a really good time. I think you made it special, whether you know it or not. So, um,
Oh.
yeah. So with that, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Envy Gay. Vincent-Natasha Gay, that's my legal name, but Envy just sounds so much better. So kind of a nickname that I like to go by. Pronouns are they, them, theirs. I identify as kind of a trans femme, gender fluid, non my trans identity is very unique, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. But yeah, I reside in Columbus, Ohio, where I own and operate a photography business that focuses on uplifting and empowering marginalized voices. So work a lot within different marginalized communities, advocate for a lot of different communities, do a lot of activism work for the LGBTQIA plus community, um, public speaking, do a lot of professional developments for companies going in and teaching just growth and understanding about how to be an ally to the community. Yeah, there's just I wear a lot of different hats, and yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
just a little bit about me.
So speaking of, being an ally, there's the opposite of that, right? And I know that you just recently had some legislation that had passed in your state. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, Ohio, just like many other places around the country, have gotten very bad for LGBTQIA plus people very quickly. We recently had a bill go into effect here that bans gender affirming care for all minors. So anyone under 18, it would ban them from being able to take puberty blockers and be able to as well participate in sports.
Hmm.
The big issue here was that it was proposed with this understanding that um, the proponents of the bill were marketing this idea that trans youth are having surgeries and are taking drugs that are irreversible,
Hmm.
and that we have this system that just it needs to be stopped, and that cannot be further from the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gender affirming care is different for everyone, but what consistency is that for anyone who is a minor, they are not having surgeries done. That does not, like, minors do not have gender affirming
Yeah.
care surgeries done. They also do not have hormone prescriptions typically until 18. Now, there are some cases where some younger than 18 have gotten hormone replacement therapy, but that is a rare case and has been done with a lot of different doctors
Hmm.
involved and parents. The big thing is that parents are part of the process the entire time. I know a big part of this legislation was that your child could transition without even telling you.
Yeah.
That there's a lot of people that want to put that narrative out there, and that can't be further from the
Yeah.
truth.
No,
Parents have to be involved from every step of it, and yeah, it's very frustrating as we sent in testimony after testimony. We stood up in front of Congress. Even the kids who this bill affects stood up in front of Congress and spoke to Congress about this, and and on deaf ears. I mean, it was
Mm.
just, yeah, they just didn't care. They are just looking to push this narrative, just like they are,
Yeah.
like just like so many other states.
Yeah.
And we have bills on in discussion for drag bills, banning drag performances in public spaces, um, and just there's so much going on right now with that. That yeah, it's very frustrating. But
Yeah. I appreciate
yeah,
you talking about all that because, I think that there is a huge misconception, misinformation of the fact that trans youth are receiving gender affirming surgeries. And like you said, that couldn't be further from the truth, with maybe a minute exception. And so thanks for touching
Yeah,
on
no,
that.
any trans person who has actually received a gender affirming surgery can tell you that the process to get it is long. It takes forever. You have to convince so many people. Not only do you have to talk to your doctor about it, but you have to have a therapist, you have to have a psychiatrist, you have to have a whole team that is there for you to help you along. And it's not just something that you can snap your finger and have surgery. It's you typically for most trans women, it takes a year of being on hormones before you are even considered for
Yeah.
gender affirming care. Now, that's not necessarily a rule, that's typically how it goes. And similar for trans men with bottom surgery or with top surgery, you typically have to be on hormones for a very long time. And you also have to convince many, 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 many people. I know for myself, my first round when I was going through this, I was working with a doctor out of Ohio State. And a week before my surgery date, she brought me in, and it was supposed to be a consult to be like, this is what we're doing, this is how you heal, this is how you recover. And instead, she used it as a time to tell me that I did not understand the ramifications of
Mm.
having breasts, and therefore she was not going to perform the surgery, and my surgery was going to be canceled.
Yeah.
That's
So
appalling.
Now, this was after I had all the doctors sign off. I had my therapist sign off. I had my psychiatrist sign off. Insurance signed off. Everybody signed off. And just because she decided, nope, it got canceled. And it took me a while to find another doctor, actually at the Cleveland Clinic, who would perform the
mhm.
surgery. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
this
it
is
just,
that's actually, from what I've heard from other girls, it's not easy to find someone that will do breast
yeah,
augmentation on trans women, or in your case, gender fluid. Um, it's something that I found very kind of concerning. That so many people will turn away, people that are within the transgender community.
yep, yeah. I mean, doctors will turn us away,
Hmm.
right? For bullshit made up excuses.
Yeah.
Pardon my French, but I mean that's what mine was. I
Yeah.
don't understand the ramifications of having boobs. I'm sorry, but a cisgender woman walking into the office wanting a breast enhancement surgery, she would get that with no problem.
Yes. Yeah.
Just or a breast reduction surgery, like you go in and yeah, the consults are there and you have to go through a couple hoops, but nothing like what we have to go through in the trans community to have these gender affirming care done. And so now for legislators to try to tell us that this is something that's an abomination and cannot happen
Mm.
is ridiculous. And I mean, you see it with legislators are trying to take away gender affirming care for adults by attacking publicly funded
Hmm.
sources like Medicare, Medicaid, the VA, trying to take away those people's rights because technically their insurance comes from tax dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, your tax dollars cover more with the military than it does with anything else. You maybe out of your yearly salary, a penny might be going to someone's healthcare.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So I do want to shift gears a little bit.
sorry.
Oh no, I appreciate all that, and that's what this
You're going to get us all on a
show is
soapbox.
about.
Trust me, we're all passionate
Yeah.
about it. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I do want to talk about your marriage. Um,
Mm.
yeah, and your beautiful wife, Katie. Um,
Yes, my marriage is something special and something unique.
yeah, and
We
I do want to.
oh yeah, go
I
for
don't
it.
know. I want to talk about the video that you
Oh
two
yes, yes, yes,
made,
yes, yes.
specifically Katie's um, reading of her journey on this. And I don't want, I know,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
No, no, no. So yeah, no, our marriage and relationship has been a journey. It has taken a lot of twists and turns. The biggest thing that's held us together throughout it all is that we are best friends. We
Mhm.
have been best friends since we were young. Um, Katie was the girl of my dreams when I was a kid. That was when my mother we were sitting in a Taco Bell dining room and she asked me, "Who do you think you'd want to marry?" Katie was the name that came to mind. And yeah, she was one that I kind of pined after throughout all of middle school and then finally locked her down in high school after
Mhm.
a lot of hoops that I like to bring up from time to time. And I know she's listening right now with a smirk on her face. Um, but yeah, we got to this point. We married in 2014 after dating since high school. Um, and I followed her to college. We, yeah, just been together. And so um, I came out in December 18th of 2018, and it was unique for us. It was a very challenging position because my wife considers her sexuality to be homosexual. She is attracted to men. Um, if, for instance, something were to happen to me and she was to have another partner, I probably would be a man. And that's just how her
Mhm.
preference is. But that doesn't mean that she loves me any less. She's not attracted to me any less. It is that we build our love based upon our relationship, our friendship, our souls are kind of just together on this journey.
Mhm.
They've been from the start. And so when I came out, it took probably about 2 years, 2 years until um, we kind of both fully understood how this all fits into the marriage, how we can stay together, how we can both love each other still. Because it wasn't like she would never didn't love me. It was that trying to figure this out with families, with society.
Mhm.
How do we talk to people about this?
Yeah.
Um, and very much for me, I am very vocal. I am very out there. I talk to a lot of people. Katie is not. She is very much reserved, likes to keep to herself. I mean, she doesn't even have social media to for people to go and find her. Like,
Yeah.
she doesn't want it. And that's perfectly fine. Um, so in that video, she wanted to talk about, you know, her experiences through this because coming out and transitioning is not just a one-sided experience. Yeah, there's a lot of things that happen for me, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of things that happen for her. She had to go through a mourning period of understand and going through this grief and understanding of how she fits into all of this and how does she define this and what does she call me to her friends, to her coworkers?
Yeah.
How does she deal with it with her extended family? There's a lot of things that went into it, and it took a long time. And that's perfectly fine. So in that video, we really wanted to show that this understanding that it isn't just one-sided, and wanting to reach out to all of those partners who love someone who's going through a gender transition but doesn't know how they can make it work.
Yeah.
We wanted to help those people. We wanted to explain to them that there is a way. It's a journey and it's a path and it's something you have to work towards. You have to work at it, just like any marriage. You have to work at it constantly. And I mean, she went to years of therapy to help. I did my own therapy. She did her own therapy. We did couples therapy. We talked with our church about it. Like there was a lot of moving parts to it that
Yeah.
really helped us get to the point where we are now,
Mhm.
where, yeah, I mean, it was in 2020 that she gave me this engagement ring. She got down on one knee, gave me the engagement ring, and said that this is the bond that is our love moving forward. That my journey, my part of who this is, she's all in on it. She's all here for it. She's
Yeah.
together with me. And it was a huge moment. It was. It was one that has
That's beautiful.
relives in
Yeah.
my mind all the time.
Yeah.
This ring never comes off. Like I'm always like it's staying. I put it on the ring finger. I still wear my marriage band, but on the other ring finger now. But yeah,
That's beautiful. Yeah. I know that that video, had touched so many. I have a few videos that people have posted, just a handful of them that really hit home, and I feel like that they can better everyone, and that one was one.
Now, Envy, if our viewers wanted to actually watch that video that you're referencing, can that be found on like your social
It
media and your
is
links
it
and
is
everything?
on my main Instagram page.
Okay, perfect.
It is the first post
Mhm.
because it's pinned up there. I've left it up
Cool.
there because it's so powerful and it's so good. So yeah, it's the first post on my Instagram page. That's at nv.gay. Nv spelled out as NV. So nv.gay. Yeah, you can find it there, watch it there. It
Perfect.
really is a powerful message.
And then we'll
Yeah,
also make sure to put that in our links, because this will be on YouTube and Spotify.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
we'll make sure to put that in the description as well, so people can check that
Yeah,
out.
it's on YouTube, on my YouTube page. It's
Oh,
on
perfect.
TikTok, on my TikTok page, but it's most easily found on my Instagram page.
yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we'll direct people there.
Great.
Awesome.
So that's Katie. Let's go into family and friends.
So yeah, when you transition, you will lose people.
Hmm.
You have to know that going into it. You can't expect to keep everyone, and honestly, you shouldn't keep everyone. Um, you going through a gender transition or a sexuality transition is a huge deal, and it really shows people's true colors. For me, I lost my close family as well as my wife's close family for the most part. They disowned me for who I am, saying that my identity and my existence is not valid,
Yeah,
which is a load of crap. But it's their belief, it's their mindset, and it's something I have to live with. Um, it took me a long time, and it took a lot of trauma therapy to come to this grip of where I am now. But um, it did. It took a long time. Luckily for me, I was able to rebound with this understanding that family is not blood, it's who you
yeah,
choose to be
absolutely.
family.
Yeah.
And I have an amazing chosen mother. Um, a lot of people know her,
Hmm.
the crossdresser's wife on Instagram. Deb
Yeah.
is my chosen mother. We met years ago. We kind of bonded really close, and when that happened, that my parents disowned me, she swooped in and was like, "No, you are mine. You are my child."
Yeah.
And it has
That's
been
so
amazing.
beautiful.
And then I have people within the church I attend that have stepped up as more parental figures and that stuff. And then, yeah, I mean, family is really who you make it. And
Yeah.
I've been able to rebuild a family that truly loves me unconditionally, and that's the key: is unconditionally. There is no expectations of who I'm supposed to be or
Yeah.
what I'm supposed to do. The
Yeah.
expectation is that I'm just me.
Yeah. That's
Now,
beautiful.
Envy, you on the topic of friends and family, you mentioned that you are at least somewhat religious. You attend church services. Can you go into that a
Yes.
little bit more and kind of tell us how your transition affected the congregation, their response to that, and then I guess just overall how things are now because you've been going through this transition process for a while. And so you've been
Yeah.
attending these services for a while. Have attitudes change? Have you seen things shift as the political climate has shifted here?
So very much, I was raised on a non-denominational Christian approach,
Okay.
very much conservative, um, and I knew from a young age that I was different, that my gender was not what I was born as. I didn't have any understanding to it. I couldn't talk to anyone about it. I never felt safe to talk to anyone about it. All I knew is that I watched Mystique from X-Men and was like mesmerized. I was like, oh my God, that's what I want. I want to be able to shapeshift and like when I feel more masculine, present more masculine. And when I feel more feminine, present more feminine. And that's it. I can just blend into society that way. And that's what I wanted so bad, but I couldn't ever express that to anyone. Ever anybody talked about superpowers, nobody said shape shifting. That's all lesser. Like, why would you want that when you could fly? Um,
Mhm.
and so, yeah, in the church I attended, um, I mean, very much, yeah, we had sermons that called for the exclusion of LGBTQIA plus people, had pastors that openly called for anyone who had gay tendencies to come up and receive handheld blessings from the church to pray the gay away. Um, so obviously, I sat there in fear, like, do not call on me, do not pick me out. And for me, it was partially because I had to fight through my last name. My legal last name is Gay, which is awesome now. As a kid, it sucked. Um, and so those expectations of having to make sure that no one saw who I truly was. And so in that, I lost my faith. I lost my faith very much. I didn't believe that there was a God that existed, that he would create a religion that was meant to just persecute millions and millions of people. And so, yeah, I lost my faith, like many within the LGBTQIA plus community. It wasn't until after I came out that I actually started to refine it, because I was trying to find purpose in myself and why this transition had happened. I was trying to figure out and explain, why is this happening to me? Why am I the one that's going through this? And luckily, my wife and we found a church here in Columbus, North Broadway United Methodist, um, that very much is an affirming church. That is their big message. They talk about it right on the front page, that they are welcoming and affirming of the LGBTQI plus community. And I was like, well, that's cool and all, but we'll see when we get there. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember driving into the parking lot the first day, and on their flagpole was the trans pride flag flying, and I was just like,
Okay,
okay, shit, this is a big
we're
deal.
Yeah,
here.
that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it didn't happen, right? Like, it took a while. Had I remember there was one time when um, Pastor Marcus is who is the lead pastor at the church. He was given a sermon, and I I don't remember why or what he said, but I got up and walked out. I just was like, I couldn't do it. And yeah, afterwards he found me, and he's like, hey, so what did I say that upset you? And I just kind of spilled it to him. Like, I don't and can't believe this way. I can't understand. And he very much opened my eyes to this idea that God, that our creator God, one, is not human, is a deity, and does not express themselves as human. Therefore, the pronouns of he, she, them do not work for God or the creator. They are above that. And so, in that understanding, when we are all created in God's image, it's not that our bodies are created in God's image, it's our souls, it's our who we are, our ability to be in existence is what is created in God's vision. And that a lot of what the messages that are brought up in the parables and scripture that's brought up to persecute LGBTQI people are misunderstood. They're misinterpreted. They, for instance, the famous verse from Leviticus that talks about homosexuality and how it's a sin. Actually, when gone back and translated from the ancient Greek, it says that no man shall rape his slave, but yet that has been changed to no man shall lie with another man. And it's been changed because of human influence and fear and persecution over centuries. And very much, he helped open my eyes to this idea that you can't take the Bible or any spiritual text as divine word of God, that it was written by God and handed down to humanity. It has been influenced by humanity's perception, our society, our culture, and our understanding and knowledge throughout centuries and centuries of lived experience. And so to reflect back on things that are well over 1,000 years old and say, well, this says this, so it's law. Well, that was at that time. We have expanded, we have grown, we have evolved over thousands of years, understanding knowledge. Like, very much, I was just writing a passage about this in Islam, and how in Islam it says that you that you must run away from a leper as if it were a lion. And that's because in their times, lepers were super contagious. It was a dangerous disease.
Mm.
Leprosy killed people. Nowadays, we don't do that. We heal those people because we know how to heal those people. We know how to cure that disease. It's not a plague from God. It's a it's a disease that can be cured, and that has only come because of our evolution of human experience. And so applying some similar things to that, I mean, yeah,
Wow.
it very much came to help me understand that in its true essence, Christianity, as well as many of the other religions, are truly accepting and loving. And the main principle is to spread the goodwill of Christ and the good message of Christ, who only believed in inclusion, not exclusion.
Oh my gosh, we
Wow.
could go
Yeah.
on about this forever. In fact,
Yeah.
I think me and
Yeah.
Envy are going to start like a an LGBTQ theological podcast. We're going to do an offshoot. There's so much to discuss here. So
To
much.
say, so I'm on the
Absolutely.
board of a nonprofit, Love Boldly,
Okay.
here in Ohio. That we is a it's a nonprofit that seeks to create queer spaces for LGBTQIA Christians. So we go into
Mm.
churches and help them understand how do they become inclusive and accepting, but also how do you become affirming of the community? How can you be truly welcoming, and teaching these churches how that is possible? And so, yeah, we do that with that. And then the book that I've been writing, called The Allies Bible, very much dives into that topic of religion and talking about your five big religions, because I can go into all of them, but that would take so much time. Um, the five major religions: Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, and Hinduism, talking about each one of those at its core, how it's meant to be inclusionary and affirming of the LGBTQIA plus community, but how its message has been polluted to be discriminatory. So,
Mm. Yeah.
yeah.
Scientology didn't make the cut
Wow.
in the top five. No.
I don't want to read into Scientology. I've already read enough into Scientology. I couldn't really get into it to continue doing that type of stuff.
I
So
think you'd have
no,
your. I
no.
think you'd have a
Tom
lot
Cruise
of
can have
work
his own.
cut out for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tom Cruise can have his own. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, powerful. So, I want to kind of rewind a little bit. You were talking about, family and how you've found your own family. I think you've grown your own family too. Um, you have Mx.Gay's creative direction, and under that falls many different entities of it. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, my business is Mx.Gay's creative direction, and very much, yeah, I created this business, one, because nobody was going to hire me as a trans person. Um, it just wasn't going to happen. I found that out after interview and interview and interview, and just being passed over for job and job and job. I was like, yeah, this isn't going to happen. So I'm going to hire myself. So I created my business, Mx.Gay's creative direction,
Mm-hmm.
with that mindset of helping to foster um, creative um, growth and beauty throughout the world. And I thought at first it was going to focus more on photography,
Mm-hmm.
but over the years, it's developed into so much more. It's developed into writing, it's developed into professional developments, it's developed into one-on-one conversations. I've had people reach out to me to literally meet them at a coffee shop and
Mm-hmm.
just educate them, talk to them about the LGBTQIA plus community, how they can understand, and giving them a platform to freely ask questions. And that's a huge one too, because a lot of people who want to become allies feel like they can't necessarily ask any question that they want, because it might be misconstrued, or it might come off the wrong way,
Mm-hmm.
which is fair. I mean, you can't just ask any question you want. If you ask me what's in my pants, I'm not going to answer. I'm going to get very upset with you.
Yeah.
But what I do is create a place where they actually can ask legitimate questions that might be a little bit more controversial, and for me not to judge them for that, and to explain from my perspective why is it that you should be promoting an inclusionary and affirming mindset even with that type of philosophy.
Hmm. Yeah, and one of those is corporate on a corporate level, um,
Yes, yes,
which
I've done
is
stuff with corporations going in and just doing larger professional development seminars, very much on the idea of how to be an ally, breaking it
mhm,
into four main quadrants where it's how do you be an ally? And then also, how do you understand and support gender transition? How do you understand and support sexuality? And how do you understand and use chosen names and lived pronouns correctly?
yeah, yeah, it's wonderful. I know that I'm trying to get you lined up with my company, so we'll see.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
we're working
travel
on
with that.
it.
Yeah, anyone that wants me to come out and do that type of stuff, I do in person and I do virtual, and as well as with the talks as well. We can always chat about that and have a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm very open and very willing to do that type of stuff. You just have to come at me with this mindset of wanting to learn, wanting to
yeah,
grow,
yeah,
not wanting to attack.
yeah.
And the best place
So,
for people to reach out to you is on your Instagram and everything that
On
maybe
my
we.
website.
Oh, on your website. Okay, so
On
that's the
my,
best point.
well, you can do my Instagram, but a lot
Hmm.
of the times, like those come up as hidden messages, and so
Yes.
like
Yeah, they can.
they get deleted.
Hmm.
So best way is via my website,
Okay.
www.vincent-natasha.com. That's the
Okay.
website. Um, if you go to that, yeah, there's places where you can check out all the work I've done, all the places I've been, and then as well, you can go into the contact and book, and you can reach out to me about exactly what you're looking for. So,
Awesome.
wonderful. So another entity of Mx.Gay's of the creative direction is the photography aspect. One that I found absolutely fascinating was the Trans USA pageant. Um, yes, and the pictures that came out of that are amazing. So if you have not seen them, I do recommend going to the site and looking at them because I mean, they're amazing. So
They're
can you tell us a
stunning.
little bit about your
Absolutely.
experience with that?
yeah, so I was asked last year to come and photograph and show the This Is Trans project, but um, to come and work with the Trans USA National Pageantry System.
Hmm.
And every November it takes place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And it was a wonderful time because it's a bunch of just your brothers and sisters and siblings, all of us trans, all of us beautiful, and just
Hmm.
being able to exist and feel that
Yeah.
community together. It was something incredibly special. And so yeah, I had a lot of fun taking the photographs of the contestants at both the event and in personal sessions. Um, yeah, it was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
It takes place every year. Currently, well, I can say they, but I should say we because I'm on the board now for them as well.
Oh,
Um, we are still taking applications for contestants all over the country. I know the Miss side is almost filled up. I know we've crossed over 40 of the 50 some,
Wow.
but there's still some room.
and
And then there's a lot left on like, there's a good deal left on the Mister side. And then this year we started the new division of Mix,
oh,
that kind of non-binary ambiguous side.
uh-huh.
Um,
And
so there's a lot still in that.
is that held at the same location?
It's all
All
held in the same location, same day,
uh-huh.
same event. It's all just there. And it's an incredible pageant. I say pageant, I mean, because it has that same kind of format, but it's not like other pageants you
Yeah.
see. Like, it's not necessarily, this, the traditional beauty pageant. It's more of a time to celebrate who you are. And we're doing so much with the program. We're doing so much with the event. We've partnered with the Milwaukee LGBTQ Center that has allowed us to kind of grow our reach a little bit and really dive into some topics and host some different things. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go into my favorite item that Mx.Gay's creative direction goes into, and that is this.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
trans,
So
and
the This is Trans project that has been my baby for a while. I started that project in 2021. Um, Honestly, really in 2020, um, with this idea of wanting to give back to the to the trans community that has done so much for me. And um, I was thinking about how do want to do the message? Do I just want to highlight trans people and all that type of stuff, or do I want to have some special message with it? And
mhm,
what came about was around this time I was being attacked online from within the community. There were several gatekeepers that were attacking me for not being trans enough,
mhm,
for saying that my trans identity is invalid because I did not fully transition. I did not take all medical means. I did not have all surgeries. I'm not living within the binary construct and therefore I'm not trans. Unfortunately, this is a narrative that has polluted our community and plagued us for a very long time. It was one that was born out of necessity and safety, back when people really like kind of started breaking out and being able to transition, especially in the late 70s to the 80s. Um, it was born in this mindset that you either had to be male or female. There was
mhm,
no other. There was just one or the other. And so to for this project, I wanted to showcase that being trans simply means that you identify your gender differently than you are assigned at birth. That doesn't mean you have to be a male that transitioned to a woman or a woman that transitioned
mhm,
to a male. You can be a person who has transitioned into who they are, whether that is gender fluid, non-binary, gender queer, agender, the list goes on. And so I started doing this message and started asking people around my area to participate, and it blew up. It took like a lot of people wanted to get involved very quickly,
mhm,
enough that at the first exhibition in Stonewall, Columbus on Trans Day of Remembrance 2021, we had over 80 portraits done. We had a huge event, raised a ton of money for the community center. Just like it was great. It was a great time, and decided then that I need to take this on the road. And since then, I've been traveling around all over across the country, um, to different community centers and event spaces, hosting this project, not just
mhm.
showcasing the portraits I've taken, but also taking new portraits when I go to each city. And that's how Olivia and I um, got
Yeah.
the good chance to meet, because I was able to include her in the project in front of the Power mural. Isn't that right? Was yours Power?
Pride.
Pride.
Pride, yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
so many different
Pride
ones.
Mirror. That's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, yeah. It was we
But
got I think we got
yeah,
lucky because it was the weekend after Pride weekend in
yeah,
Long Beach, and so there was just pride everywhere, and it was awesome. Yeah.
yeah. And so yeah, it's been going around the country. The next stop is in Salem, Massachusetts. Um, it's going to be there for a while. I think it's still up in Miami, Florida, at the main branch of their the Miami-Dade Library. It's been up there for a while. I think it's still up. But yeah, it's going around and traveling. And then, as well as Olivia showcased, there's the coffee table book that includes everyone from the project. And what's so powerful about this project is it's not the pictures that are taken, but the words that are said.
Mhm.
Um, I wrote very little in that book. Um, to uh, Most of the words came from the participants themselves, because each person was asked the question, "What does being transgender mean to me?" And those words are just inspiring and incredible and so moving to read all these words and see their faces. It's a powerful thing. It really is. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I thank you for sharing that. That's available on my website as well. You can find that to purchase, and it continuously gets updated as I keep traveling and adding more people. So, like when I go to Salem here in a couple weeks, I will be taking pictures there, and then that means I need to update it again
Yeah.
because there's new people to add. And so, yeah,
Yeah, it's amazing. And if you don't have one, I recommend highly getting one. I have one on my coffee table and one at work. So
Envy,
Yeah.
I'm curious. Let's turn the tables on you. You've asked this question a million times. What does trans mean to you?
uh, Trans means freedom, means the ability to let go of the conceptions of others and just be able to exist as I see myself, as I want to be, as I need to be. And yeah, it's just been one of those experiences that has freed me. It's allowed me to be happy, allowed me to be comfortable.
Mm.
Before transitioning, I never felt comfortable. I always felt on edge. I always felt guarded. I always felt like I had to protect myself. I had to keep myself hidden so nobody knew who I was. And now everyone knows who I am. And it's so wonderful because I'm not trying to hide that from anyone. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to be who I am and showcase who I am. Whether you like me or you hate me, I am who I am.
Hmm. I think that probably a lot of
So,
people would share that. But one quick follow-up question, Liv, and then I'll turn it back over to you.
mhm.
Um, you've asked this question to a lot of people. Were there any overarching themes that you've seen in that answer?
I'd say the main theme that I see out of a lot of people's answer is the hurt and the trauma that they have experienced, and that release of trauma, the release of their past pains, and this ability to just be joyous about who they are. That's really been the main similarity between a lot. And a lot of people have expressed that in very different ways. But yeah, I'd say it's very much, yeah, just the ability to be happy.
Yeah, and I think that goes to what you were
Beautiful.
talking about it meaning freedom for you, and I think that that freedom creates joy. That's for sure. Okay, Liv, you can go.
So, so you have a book that you've been working on for a while
Yes,
now. I think you kind of mentioned it earlier. Um, do you want to read something from that? Do you have something set up?
I can if you want me to.
Yeah. Why don't you just
Yeah,
read a
so
little something for us?
yeah, I'll talk about it first and then I'll read
Yeah.
from it. Um, this book that I've written, it's called The Allies Bible. It first started off as like a little pamphlet that I was going to give out at my professional development things, just so people can reflect back on what I've talked about. And I just kept writing and writing and writing and writing, and then 50,000 words later, I was like, well, this isn't a pamphlet anymore. This is a book. Um, it very much came from what happened when my wife and I first, like when I first came out, and the struggles my wife and I had. Katie is very much a reader, and wants to get all of her information from reading it. And so she sought out to find a book that would help her. And there's books out there that were written from understanding, sexuality, understanding queer relationships, understanding gender transition and what it means and the different types of, trans identities, but there wasn't really anything out there on how to be an ally. And that really shocked me that there's not something out there that tells people how they can effectively be an ally. And I found that a lot of people want that. Especially when going around to the different cities and doing the This Is Trans shoot, I had a lot of people come up to me asking me that same question. I remember one recently when I was in Virginia. Um, I was at Bridgewater College was where I was doing this, and I had an associate professor who came in and was like, "So how do I be an ally?" I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "Well, my daughter's best friend and roommate is trans. I've known this kid for most of their life, and I just want to know how I can express to them that I am there for them no matter what. I am happy for them and I love them even through all of this. And I was like, oh my God, yes. Like that's what this is for. I mean, it really is. It really is just trying to help those people because yeah, it, especially with all these anti-LGBTQIA plus legislations going on around the country and in the world. Um, we keep calling from the queer community, we keep calling for our allies to stand with us, but we're not telling them how necessarily. We're not giving them the skills. We're not educating them on how to stand with us, what they need to do. Um, and that's what this book does. So yeah, I can read a slight passage from it. It's from the understanding and supporting gender transition section of the book. I don't really call them chapters because it's more set up kind of like a textbook or a guidebook. I don't know. It's a different type of book. I will say that for sure. So what do I mean when I say there is not one correct way to transition? Just as with any type of presentation and expression of an individual's personality and gender, there is not one way that is more authentic to one's gender than another. Is a woman wearing pants and a shirt with a tie any less authentic or valid than a woman wearing a dress? No. As we know that you may present yourself does not define who you are. Just as with any other identification of a person's individuality, there is no one more correct than another. There are many ways to practice Christianity, and neither is more correct than the other. There's a lot of different ways to present within your race. Neither is more authentic than the other. Therefore, a transgender woman who has facial hair or body hair is not any less authentic than a transgender woman who presents according to traditional gender norms. Gatekeepers within the community want to say that the only authentic way to transition genders or sex is to do so fully, meaning that they take all medical and societal steps to transition and live within the gender or sex that they identify. Unless you are fully transitioning male to female or female to male and adhere to traditional societal gender expectation, then these gatekeepers believe that you are not authentic or valid within your identity. This belief is used to invalidate non-binary identities, as well as those transgender men and women who do not adhere completely to traditional gender norms. This is a complete falsehood, as we all present gender differently and uniquely, and no one's presentation of themselves is more authentic than another person's. Individuals who have this viewpoint use it to justify their own existence, stating that non-binary transgender individuals are invalidating their existence by saying that they are transgender without taking the same steps as they did. They believe that all of the time and work they put into transitioning from one binary gender to another is being belittled by those who have not gone through the similar journey. They also believe that these non-binary individuals are hurting the transgender community as they are making the concept of gender more difficult to understand, leading to an increase of discrimination for all transgender individuals. Once again, this narrative is extremely dangerous and is used within the community and from outside the community to perpetuate the notion that non-binary people are invalid and that the only validity in gender is being either male or female. Non-binary people are just as valid as any other person, whether transgender or cisgender. This notion that we have to adhere to our gender to traditional norms only perpetuates the notion that we need to identify as someone just by being able to look at them and know who they are by looking at them. And this type of expectation is extremely dangerous. As we've seen throughout history, identifying a person by the way they look and being able to tell who they are just by their look is extremely harmful. We have all heard the old adage, never read a book by its cover, and the same goes for people. Just because someone presents differently does not mean their gender or identity is any less than anyone else's. No one has the right to determine if another person's identity or existence is invalid. Everyone, whether transgender or cisgender, presents their identity differently. A transgender woman who adheres to traditional gender norms is not more valid than one who does not by having facial hair. Just as a transgender man adhering to traditional masculinity is not more valid than one who wears a dress and makeup. Gender is an outward expression of one's identity, not a set of rules that must be governed by a binary existence.
Wow.
Dead on.
Wonderful.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's a good thing to close on. Yeah, that's. But before we do close, we do have a couple fun questions for you.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, well, it's we were going to do some fire questions, but I think we'll just do. I kind of like to ask this question. I don't know why. Are you? Do you shower or do you bathe?
Shower mostly, bathe for relaxation.
So both. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a bather. I think Amber is a shower, but she
I'm a
said if she
wannabe
could get the.
bather. I just need a bigger tub.
Yeah. How about you, Amber? You have a question?
God, I have so many questions. Honestly, this podcast could have been 2-3 hours long. I would have loved to explore more of your transition story. I could have explored more of your religious journey and everything. Oh gosh, no exciting fun questions off of the top of my head or anything. I guess
I,
you said you've got plans coming up travel wise and everything. Is there any other stops that you're going to be making, I guess, over the next few months that people could be looking out for?
Right now, the Salem one is the
Mm-hmm.
only one planned. Um, Typically, June is usually a month that's dominated by Pride events, and
Mm-hmm.
I will be at several Pride events, as that is a very busy month for me. The main three being the Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland Prides this year. But yeah, besides that, I mean, it really is just staying tuned in to my Instagram page and as
Mm-hmm.
well signing up for email notifications on my website. All of that you can follow along with anything that I announce of like where I'm going, what I'm doing, as well as announcements for the book as well.
Very cool.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we will close with that and stay tuned right after this, everyone, because we will have all the links. We may post a little preview of the video of you and Katie talking if we can get it in there.
Oh,
So,
yes.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you, NV, and we may have you on again because this was great conversation.
I have a lot more
Well, thank you for
questions.
having me on. And
Absolutely.
yes, I'm always open to talking and answering more questions and talking about, just the LGBTQI plus community, religion, all this type of stuff. I've got a wealth of information.
Yes.
Awesome.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you so much
Well,
for joining
everyone,
us.
Thank you.
that's it. Thank you.
Hey, Liv. I just
Hey.
wanted to take a moment real quick in between, our segments here on the pod,
Yeah.
since we're going to have Envy on and everything. And I just wanted to thank you because this book, this gift that you gave me, This is Trans, is one of my
Mhm.
most cherished. And in fact, it sits right up here on my desk during the pod
Yeah.
and everything. And this is actually by Envy, and they photographed you, and you had an experience getting into
Yeah.
this publication here. Tell us a little bit about like what that was like working with Envy and everything and how that all came about.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I think, as I stated, it was my first public outing with
Mm-hmm.
another person that under the trans umbrella. And working with Envy was amazing. They made me feel very comfortable. And, it was my first day on HRT as well. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I was very nervous. I'm not photogenic at all.
Oh, stop
And,
it.
oh my gosh. And they had me, going to all different areas. And the one that was in the book was, I think, has me behind a Pride mural. And so, yeah, it was
I just
a very fun and neat experience.
It's such an amazing book. It's such a testament to the
Uh-huh.
gender diversity in our community, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so happy that you had an opportunity to appear in this, and so
Mhm.
thankful to have Envy on the podcast. So
Absolutely.
highly
Yeah.
highly recommend picking this up. If
Hmm.
you are in our community, it is a must have in your library. So thank you, Envy. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Liv, for giving me a copy of this too. I really really appreciate it. But hey,
Yeah.
let's get back to the pod.
Wow. Um, that was a great interview. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I know Envy pretty well,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm interested to hear what you have to say about how you think the interview went and where you were touched.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could have talked to Envy for hours. If I could find myself in a coffee shop with them, like that conversation would probably go until the coffee shop kicked us out because
Mm-hmm.
there's so much that they touch on, right? I mean, like they have witnessed so many transition stories, the true authentic expression of people through artistic photography, excuse me, and there's just so much that Envy adds to our tapestry of being transgender. But
Absolutely.
I think one of the things that I always find fascinating is when any type of person from the LGBTQ community speaks about their religion. As a former Roman Catholic myself, I've found it very difficult at times to reconcile what can be a very exclusive religion with the inclusivity of what our experience is all about. And
Mm-hmm.
so that is a topic I wish I could just dive even further into. What did you think, Liv?
Oh, absolutely. I have the same struggles. I was raised in the Baptist church, and so
Mm,
I think definitely the religion aspect was something that was unexpected in this podcast that came out.
mm-hmm,
And it really, I think it's going to help many individuals.
mm.
And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that touches other people.
I know it. I
Mhm.
know it. And with how long we were able to do the podcast, like we're absolutely out of time at this point. So
Yes,
I'd like to
it's a
thank
good
our
thing.
guest and yes, absolutely, it's a very good problem to have. I'd like to thank our guest Mx.Gay for joining us, and we'll talk to all of you next week on Out of Our Shell, the podcast. So on behalf of Liv and myself, we'd like to remind you to always follow your joy, because it can never lead you in the wrong direction. Thanks for tuning in with us today. We appreciate it. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Hey there, come out of your shell. Hey there, come out of your shell.
Don't forget to subscribe.